Don, can you tell me what process a bill goes through to get through Parliament?
It's a long and complicated process. It has to go through both the Commons and the Lords, which means MPs and Lords have to get involved. And if they can't agree, it will bounce back between the two houses of Parliament. But in addition to that, there's lots of consultation processes before the bill even gets to Parliament. So it's a very long and complicated process.
And how does the Alliance get involved in this process?
We do a lot of research. We have lots of close connections with politicians and Whitehall, and we find out what's in the government's mind before it actually becomes policy. The best way of affecting government policy is to persuade them before it is government policy. So often when a bill is in the Houses of Parliament, that's too late.
How does the Alliance work with other Christians as part of this?
Of course, once we get engaged and involved with a bill, at a fairly early stage we have to work out what our strategy will be with regard to proposed legislation, and that involves talking to as many of our interested constituents as possible and getting together with other Christian and sometimes non-Christian groups to debate that strategy, because one of the best things we can do, if it's possible, is to get as much agreement so we speak with a single voice and we have a more powerful opportunity to make our point, because numbers count. The Alliance is generally recognised to be a uniting organisation, an organisation that can cross boundaries that might separate groups, bring them together around a table, and also to have a respectable reputation with government and opposition parties for being able to engage constructively on issues.
You've talked about how you try to influence a bill before it gets to Parliament. If there's still an issue that you've got a problem with, what happens when that bill gets to Parliament?
Well, our number one aim is to try and persuade the government to adopt our views in their policy. On some occasions, though, that isn't possible, and we do disagree with the government, or they disagree with us. It really just depends on the general mood of the Christian and religious constituency as to whether or not one ends up waving banners outside Parliament, or one prefers to go down the route of continuing to engage with the government of the day right to the end. That was the case in the Equality Bill, for example. Although we disagreed with the government, we kept on working with them in the hope that they would meet our view. They did attempt to do it right at the 11th hour, but sadly they didn't go far enough, and in that case we had to work with peers and then on the night hope that they vote with us. In that particular case they did vote with us, they were persuaded, and therefore we did manage to change the government's intention.
And how can Christians in the pews get involved?
Now, you can get involved simply by being aware. You can become aware by being involved with the Evangelical Alliance, for example, reading its regular monthly PQ magazine that will keep you in touch with issues, or joining the Alliance, because then that boosts the Alliance's ability to tell the government they represent people. Then, of course, you can become directly involved with the political world locally, in local councils, parish councils, or with local media, and then of course just simply by voting in elections in an informed kind of way. Hold your local politicians to account.